I begin today by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, traditional custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded today. Also pay respects to the elders past and present, and extend that respect to any other Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening today. This is Melanated in Melbourne, a podcast designed to give an insightful look into the Australian lifestyle from the lens of two Black American besties.
We're so late, y'all. We're so late. That is usually how it goes because I'm Nicole.
And I'm Ri'chard.
And this is Melanated in Melbourne.
Melanated in Melbourne.
Yes. I want us to have a tambourine or something. Sometimes.
We're going to add a tambourine into it? Okay, yes, oh my God.
I do.
Well, we are back in the booth, and we are so excited to do so.
We are. It's been a while.
It is literally.
It's been a while.
Stop it, Brittany. Let me break the ice.
I know it's been a while, but I'm glad you came. And I'm going through something.
Then you say my name. I love how we barely know the lyrics.
Like I'm going and saying.
Better get it up. Gonna get it up.
My non-enunciating queen. Shout out to Brittany Jean. I love you, and I forever will.
That was chaos, but it's happening. It's going in the show. We are back, baby. We actually haven't been in the booth for about 2 months.
It's been a minute.
We thank you guys for rocking with us in that time period. We recorded a bunch of episodes in advance because we were both in America. I want to say, I was having fun. I was having fun, but it was also like the dread. The terror, the terror, the anxiousness was still there.
For sure.
But I mean, what about you? What's been happening for you, trip and non-trip?
Well, to be honest with you, I can't wait to use this episode to shade America because going back and then just having that ominous energy. Have you ever heard of the term, the sword of Damocles?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, like you could sit in the throne, but you just have like this
sword
like hanging above
you,
and who knows when that string is going to break and fall down on you, and so you're just like that impending doom.
But until then, you're the king. You're living your best life.
Yes.
You're in charge. You're powerful, but that could drop at any moment.
Yeah, and ain't nobody trying to get shish kebab. So
that is an excellent analogy. Well done, well done. I mean, earlier, what'd you say? What'd you call it?
What?
The United Shades of America?
Yeah, it's about to be the United Shade of America because I'm ready to read this whole for filth.
Absolutely. I mean, we were both in America for various time. Nicole went first, and you were there for how many weeks?
I guess it was like a month or so because it left on May 2nd, and then got back to Melbourne, I think, June 6th. So it was like a cute little month.
Love that. And I had the exact opposite overlap. I was still here, but I left on May 22nd. Cute. And then I got back a little bit early. I got back on the 2nd of July. So we were like separated for 2 months, we were living our best lives. I won't say living our average lives, though. We were always going to live our best lives, whether we're here or
Try
there.
And stop me.
Exactly. Like the resilience is resilienting, and that's now a word.
Period.
But I think one of the things we could do with this episode, because again, this is just a welcome back for us and to kind of fill people in on what we did in America. I took detailed notes because I knew beforehand we talked about where we were going to go. I had a shit ton of stops. I stopped like 7 different places.
Oh my God, love it.
And I got my life. I spent all my money. I'm so broke now. So if you want to go ahead and donate some money our way, please do. You want to buy some merch to help us be less poor? Please do.
Yes, buy the merch, please.
Please, God, please help us. No, but Nicole, maybe. Oh, actually, what we can do is just to make it more like fun for our Melbourne listeners, our Australian listeners, especially, because once again, Australia is holding it down. 65% of our listeners are in Australia.
Shout out to them. Shout out to the Aussies. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for the love. Absolutely. Yeah. And specifically Melbourne, because obviously it's melanated in Melbourne. Y'all are holding it down even more so than everyone else. Victoria has 70% of our Australia listens.
Yes.
So for us, by us, I appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all. But for your own, I guess, entertainment, we're going to go ahead and go through our cities and rank how likely we would be to live in them again.
Oh, my God. Love it.
Because we talked about it before. We never, ever want to go back. But if we did. We're going to scale them from 1 to 5? Or 1 to 10?
You know what? Let's do 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Give us some range. Give her some range instead of have to do like decimal points. So we're going to rate each city 1 to 10. If we were both in that city, we'll both talk about that city and what we did, a few little tidbits, and we'll go from there.
Love it.
Nicole, would you like to go first?
I would love to go first because I'm going to have to go geographically because we were bouncing all over the place. But my partner and I, we flew Air New Zealand. Sorry. First off, got to talk about the airline.
Okay, actually, you go first, and I'll give my opinion on it.
I love Air New Zealand. They feed you. It's a short amount of time because you fly from Auckland into LA, which is like they tell you it's 13 hours. You get on the plane and the clock says like 11 hours, like 11 hours and 20 minutes, essentially. So it feels a bit faster rather than doing like a full 16. Because I've done that Qantas flight before, and listen, she can't hang. She can't hang. And yeah, it was good. The food is good. The seats are comfy. However, we had the flight from hell because the turbulence was outrageous. It was so anxiety producing. I was just like, Lord, if I make it through this. Like, it was one of those ones, but luckily we made it, and then we arrived into LA. We stayed there for a night, and then we flew up to San Francisco to kick off our trip because my partner and I, we've been together for about 8 years, so we were like, we want to do something nice for our anniversary, so we got a nice hotel in the middle of, do I even know? No, I don't know.
Was it the Castro?
See, there are a lot. Okay,
were you
I'll
the
tell
homosexuals?
No, and I really wish we would have stayed in that side of town, but we were near that don't say Golden Gate Bridge. That's not what it was. It is
the Bay Bridge?
No, it was like the little section near Chinatown where the Bruce Lee mural was at. You could see that from our hotel window, essentially.
All right, I'm going to be honest. I technically grew up in San Francisco, but I was like 8 when I left. If you don't stop. Nicole, so my family's from San Francisco. I was born there. I lived there, so I was like 8, and I keep going back. And there was one time Nicole and I were hanging out, and the conversation of San Francisco came up, and Nicole looked me dead in the eye and said, have you been to San Francisco?
I was genuinely curious.
And I looked her in the eye and said, the place that I was born? Yeah, I think I've been there like once or twice, just in passing mostly.
I think the best part about me asking that was because I literally hosted a trivia that had trivia questions all for Ri'chard, and one of the questions was like, where was Ri'chard born? Yeah. And I knew the answer to that, but I just still, like I said, sometimes in my brain is like an etch-a-sketch. It's like...
she'll go up.
Listen, like she'll get the information, but then, a little bit of shimmying, a little bit of shake, and it's gone.
Not the shimmy and shake.
The shimmy and the shake. Shake and bake, baby. All right, anywho. So, got into San Francisco. It was my first time there. I had never been there before, so I was really excited to see. And a lot of people compare it to Melbourne. A lot of Aussies say, they're like, do you feel like it's like San Francisco? And I'm like, I hadn't been there before. So I didn't have a... And now, okay, so first impressions, wow, what a good-looking girl. San Francisco is so beautiful. Architecture, the buildings, stunning. The Bay, go off, bitch. Amazing. The Golden Gate Bridge, everything that I had ever dreamed. It literally looked like a postcard. It was so pretty. Oh my gosh. And then even the apartment buildings, everything with their bay windows and stuff. I was like, this is so beautiful. It looked like a city as if like Disney had designed it. Yeah. Like, I thought it was like that pretty.
I mean, that's why the Big Hero 6 is San Francisco, because they love San Francisco and Tokyo, so they blurred them together. And it's just, I've never been in Tokyo, but San Francisco she's a beautiful girl. Like, she's
gorgeous. She's gorgeous. So when people were like, oh, do you think it's like Melbourne? I'm like, okay, I'll give you that. San Francisco is like if Melbourne went onto a reality TV show like The Swan and got a lot of money for plastic surgery. And Melvin just got a lot of work done. She got her tits done. She got her teeth done. She got a brow lift. She got the fox eyes. Like,
I hate you. I can't do this.
Nope, this is what it is, ho. This is what it is, ho. Because she's gorgeous. She's beautiful. Yeah. And so I was like, I can give that to you. But like the thing that makes Melbourne is like the culture here. It's the personality.
Yes.
Like they always say, it's like Melbourne is like, she's not as good looking, but she has the better personality.
Yeah.
Whereas San Francisco, she's really beautiful, and not saying that she doesn't have the personality. However, the qualifications, like the stuff that really makes her tick, like the coffee, like she cares so much about her looks, she's let some of her talent slip.
Oh.
The coffee in San Fran, like, what are y'all doing out there? Like, I get y'all are pretty, but it's like, come on now.
Yeah, it's very much a face city.
So I would just have to say that, yes, San Fran is pretty. Yes, she's got a really beautiful face, but the little qualifications that would have put me over the edge would have been the coffee. And what she's doing to the La Marzocco machine over there, that is the best coffee machine. Girl, come on, let's get it together now.
Is that the brand?
The La Marzocco is like the best coffee machine, in my opinion. It does the grind really well. It does the drip really well.
I can see the little font in my head now.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, those are the best coffee machines. However, I was walking into cafes based on that. I was like looking and I was like, oh, they got a La Marzocco machine. Walking in, girl, wasting my time. Don't do that. Don't do that. So, yeah. So if San Francisco could work on her personality.
Like, if you could just work, we'll circle back. Just take these notes, take this feedback constructively, and we'll get back to you.
We'll get back to you, and it would be fine. And it was really beautiful. Really enjoyed my time there. The one thing that my partner wanted to do, though, he kept asking over and over again. He was like, "Can we do a bike tour of the Golden Gate Bridge?" And I was like, "Sure, baby. If that's what you want to do, let's do it." And
that's love, everybody, because the way I would not.
That's love. Well, because I like being adventurous.
Yeah.
I like doing like little fitness things and stuff. I asked him, like, how is the terrain leading up to the Golden Gate Bridge? He's like, oh, it's good. It's easy. It's like a nice, easy ride. I'm like, okay, cool. Because mind you, when he went with his friends all these years ago, child, we got on those bikes. The wind was blowing directly into our faces, that on flat ground, I was getting puffed. I was already huffing and puffing beforehand. And I'm like trying to ride into the wind. If I did not pedal, it would have been blowing me backwards. Like, that's how strong the wind is there, which did remind me of Melbourne. And then I thought the terrain was going to be flat. San Francisco ain't nothing but hills.
Yep.
Ain't nothing but hills. I should have gotten the electric bike. That was my fault. I should have.
Everyone knows, like, they got great cabs over there.
Like, what? Yes, that is such a thing that I noticed.
Because the hills have eyes and they have calves.
The hills have thighs. The hills have thighs. Because the way that the hills are there, it's like 45-degree angles, and you were just schlepping up every hill, like huffing and puffing. I'm sitting down on some of them because I just could not hang. And then riding a bike, I should have been training for, like, it was the fucking Tour de France. Like, that's how I should have been doing it before getting on this damn bike to go to the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah.
So when we started encountering the hills, and one of these hills was like so steep, and you had to go up it with cars, and there was literally no option to like ride up the hill. And I was like, this is insane. But once we got to the top and once we got to the bridge, the wind was even worse up there.
Whipping titties out of the turtleneck?
Slapping the titties out of our turtleneck. Sorry, Jesus. Shout out to Jesus. He knows, long-time listener. We get on the bridge, and the wind is so strong, and it's so cold. And I'm like, well, the only way for me to make it to Sausalito is to jump on this bike and ride it across the bridge. I jumped on that bike. I maybe had two pedals, like two little evolutions of like the whoop whoop. That wind blew me into the barricade. Bang! Like, literally hit my bike. I didn't almost fly, but I thought I was going to fly into the car lane. Like, that's how strong the wind was.
Yeah.
So ended up having to walk my bike across the bridge because had I known, I don't know. I'm not wind safe. I'm not safe in the wind. I don't know. The wind and we have an issue now.
Okay,
you're on notice.
So now you're beefing with the wind.
I'm beefing with the wind.
You're already beefing with Apple. I think that's what happened. Apple sent that wind after you.
You know what? Go ahead.
You know what? We're going to go to your rating now, Nicole, because before Apple shuts us down.
Okay, so I think that San Francisco is a beautiful city. I would absolutely love waking up there and then like being able to do all the outdoorsy thing. However, where she got her plastic surgery at, it wasn't necessarily that great. So it would have been like if she got her teeth done, it was those veneers that like are like press on nails.
Yeah, they look like.
It would have been like that because let me tell you, because when you see the darkness within the city, I'm not blaming the houseless. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying like the extreme poverty that lives there.
It was a paint. It was a paint job on top of.
It was a paint job on top of something that is like, you guys should actually really be doing the work on this. You're one of the richest cities in America. You have the money to fix these problems. And when you see the trickle of the absolute desolate poverty that's there, it is just like, I personally would not be able to ignore it. It'd be pretty heartbreaking.
Oh, absolutely. And I feel the same way. And when my family was there, so I was only there for a couple of days. I wasn't like the main part of my trip, but I'll do a brief rating on mine as well, just because like that is the main issue for me with San Francisco. I love it. I love it so much. But with the tech boom, like we made a joke about Apple earlier, the tech boom has made it so incredibly unlivable. Like a lot of my family and friends are still there, but they're out in the Bay, like Oakland, San Angelo, those kind of places, Bay Point. Even that's getting so expensive. Like that's like an hour outside the city. And when you go the closer into the city, the drinks are ridiculous. Everything smells like piss when you're in the actual city. It's such a pretty place. Like the tourist spots, what they want you to love, you love it. But when you live there, the trolleys are so cute.
So freaking cute.
It's a great place to visit, but to stay, absolutely not. I'm gonna have to give San Francisco It's a 6. It's a 6 out of 10 for me.
I was going to say a 5.6.
So 5.6.
Yes, I'm going to give it a 5.6. I am. Because the coffee, girl.
Yeah.
You need to be able to make a decent cup of coffee. A big-ass city like that, all them damn cafes, get it together, sis.
I love that.
Still gorgeous stuff.
Still gorgeous, to be clear. So for me, I had a very similar experience. I did the Qantas flight straight to LA. I love Air New Zealand. Shout out to Air New Zealand. Qantas, it's fine. It's fine. I got lucky. I got the whole world to myself, so I was sleep.
Love that.
And like while I was on there, I was listening to our episodes, getting ready to do the podcast awards, doing some editing. I was always working. Like this trip was great, but I was always working. I was doing job applications, editing the podcast, and then also socializing, doing these things. So I got back tired. But my LA experience was great. I will start by saying I don't like LA.
Ooh.
Like me and LA, we're not friends.
Y'all ain't friends?
Not at all. However, so many people that I love are in LA and so people in that general area.
Best
like,
people. The
whole trip was for my favorite cousin's wedding, as I mentioned in the episode before. The wedding was fantastic. Getting to see some of my cousins and my family and my friends was just so magical, and it was very heartwarming. Yeah. It was a really good recharge because shout out to my dad because I actually had a really good talk with him as well. Before I moved to Australia, he was very much just like, as a family, we should all be getting together more. So he was one who was like really pushing for family reunions, getting everyone together. Yeah. The reason that I'm so close to my cousins, my dad was like, your cousin lives in this city, you're going to go hang out. Your cousin's coming over, catch up. And then we had a kiki and we were like instant friends. Absolutely just magical. So shout out to my dad. Yes. All the cousins were there. There were a lot of cousins. One of the things I was sad about that I missed was because I was here, all the family reunions I was missing, all the cousins, they were like babies when I left, but now they're like teenagers in their 20s and all these things. So getting together with everyone and actually having those moments and be like, I was admittedly hesitant. I was like, I feel like an outsider a little bit because I've been gone for so long and I don't want them to be like, we had all these memories like,
without
you're here too. But it didn't feel like that in the slightest. It was like, hey cousin, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. We've heard all these stories. And the way in which I was just like, my heart was just growing 3 times like the Grinch. I'm just like bawling at everything. So excited. The wedding prep was fantastic. Actually that's not true. Some of the wedding prep was chaotic. Some of the wedding prep was chaotic. And I will not name drop, but those people know who they are. They're not listening to the podcast anyway. But some people in the wedding party were not as helpful as they could have been. So I was in the wedding party for my cousin, but obviously I'm here, so I can't do much for prep. I sent my measurements for my suit. That was all good and golden. And then we get there. I'm like, hey, cousin, what do you need help with? What are we doing? And he's like, nothing. We're all good. And I'm like, that's not true, Ellen. Yeah. So I called my sister. Shout out to Winter because she's also in the bride's party. And I talked to my sister because obviously the bride will know what's happening. And I love my cousin to death, but he's such a boy. Yeah. Like I don't want to do boys and weaponize these kind of things. But he was like, I'm excited, but the actual day-to-day logistics, he had no idea. I don't think he's ever been in weddings on this scale. And I'm like, let me find out what's happening. So I came over, stopped in there, helped with the wedding prep, and he was telling me about this member of the wedding party who's supposed to be actively involved in doing all these things. He's had a suit for a month and had not gotten measured. Okay. And my cousin was like, hey, well, I'm sure it fits well, but let me see it. And he was like avoiding the question, doing all these things, and he sent it in, and it was just baggy.
Yeah, no shit. Like if you...
And I'm like, no.
Not me getting heated like it's my wedding, but.
The way in which I keep telling everyone, like, this was my season finale. If life was a TV show, all the prep in Melbourne, all the getting ready for this, all the episode recording was to get ready and be present for this moment. Yeah. And that was like the last little, like, mid-season finale, almost season finale, getting ready for it. Like, getting him over the line when there are members of the party who were just not doing the do. I was like, please stop. Like, this, you can't be doing this. And, like, straight people. Like that's all I'm going to say. Like,
see, that's your problem right there. Straight people.
Yeah, it's okay to be straight until it's not. No.
I'm kidding.
It's okay, but don't do it in my face.
It's okay to be straight.
It is okay to be straight, but in this instance, it was not okay. But this individual was honestly more of a hindrance than a help. But everyone else in the party was fantastic. Like on the bridal party, the rest of the groom's party, like it was really fun and really great. The ceremony happened without a hitch. The pictures were fantastic. The bride, gorgeous, absolutely stunning. Beautiful. My cousin, I will protect him with the world. Like he's one of my favorite people in the world. He was crying the whole time. Crying the whole time. And I'm over here trying to like, stop. Yeah. You can't start crying because I look at you when I would get you.
Oh man, I love a cry. I love a wedding cry.
So fantastic. Yes. But like outside of the wedding, which was gorgeous, being in LA as a whole, mid. Mainly because every single time I go back to LA, it's so great, it's so wonderful, but it's expensive. It is so
it
expensive.
so expensive.
And as many people know, California legalized weed in like 2016, and the dispensaries started opening up, and they start looking like Apple stores.
Yeah.
And every time I go over there, like, I'm getting lit. Like, I am high all the time. Let me tell you that for a fact. But
it's legal over there.
yeah, it's it's medicinal is also legal here. It's just a point of clarification.
Yes.
So I always go over there, get my usual things, and one of the things I like to do, I have a really good memory. So if I know I paid you $50 for this exact same product,
I know, that's right.
I come back and it's $70. I'm like, oh. I come back again,
That's
it's $100.
That's a jump.
The very first time I went and bought legal weed, like I bought these little edibles, they were $50 because they have state tax and all these exercise taxes and here, fuck you up tax. They added a city tax this time around.
Girl.
And it made my taxes were a good $30. The product itself was $60. I screamed. And first of all, the conversion rate was fucking us up. So
yeah, the conversion rate is already like
one Australian dollar is 62, 63 cents when I got there. And then there was tax. And when you're eating out, there's tip. I'm like, I'm never going to financially recover from this. And that was one of the things that like, it got me good. And on the very first day, I spent $450.
Wow.
I didn't even do anything. I went out, my brothers picked me up. We got Buffalo Wild Wings, which I said I was going to get. It was mid. The food service has declined thoroughly. And I'm just like, is this the normal now?
Yeah.
But that, oh Lord, that just really, it sent me over the edge. But seeing my family, fantastic. Love them to death. Want them to come here as often. If they can, my brother and sister have already done so. Yeah. I'm looking at the rest of y'all.
Mom Dukes.
Hop on over because.
Miss Jessica, please.
As often, please.
We would love to have you.
Come over here, get out of there. But for me, LA, family trip was great, but the city itself, as far as livability, like 1 to 10, I'm giving LA a 3. I'm never moving back there.
I feel that. I mean, like there's always been like a bit of a not like a beef. I'm using that term lightly, but like Sydney and Melbourne have real beef because I feel like they really go at it.
They really.
New York and LA, there's a rivalry. That's what I'll say. It's like a rivalry. But the description that they always said is like New York is like a really fun hell. Mm-hmm. Like a really fun hell to live there. And then LA is like a really shitty heaven. Like, because it's like beautiful, but the conditions that you have to live within in order to live there, the high as hell tax. I had jump scares with the gas prices.
Oh, yes.
I don't even drive, and I'd be looking at the sign like, $8 for a gallon. Like,
I had to do the conversion rates because they do liters here instead of gallons. And I'm like, I was trying to do that math. I'm like, uh-oh.
No.
I used to always say Australia was so expensive, but we're paid well to compensate it. Now it's just, America is just...
She losing it.
I gave everybody the biggest hug I could. And people are like, let me get this. Like, you know what? Actually, let me get this. Let me get this.
Let me help you.
When I go, you're staying here. Love y'all to death. But let me just get this one. I got that. Do you have a LA rating?
No, because we stayed in LA because my sister graduated from dental school. Shout out to Lauren. So proud of her.
Congratulations, Lauren.
Yeah, she's now a dentist. So yeah, we were there.
I got a little tooth that got a little.
Stop it! Not everybody. As soon as they're like, they find out that she's a dentist, they're just like, oh,
can you look at this?
Can you look at this? Can you look at this? You immediately start talking about your teeth. But yeah, we ended up staying in like Westwood, which is like a really, really cute area and everything. So I feel like we were in like a cute part and able to like walk around there. However, that's not reflective of LA as a whole. So you give it a 3. I probably, man, the people are just so great. Yeah. Some of my favorite people are from there. So this is not a reflection on them. This is just the city itself, the traffic, the smog, the high prices, the unwalkability of it.
Oh, talk about it.
I'll give it a 4. You know, I'll bump it up because the Mexican food, bussin'. Yeah. Bussin'. Listen, y'all already know how I feel.
Yep. Danger tacos.
I'll give you 4. I'll give it 4.
I support that. And actually, funnily enough, speaking of New York, that was my next stop. So I went LA, San Francisco, and then to New York. Nice. So one of the expressions, I really liked the expression you had about the heaven and the hell. One of the things that I heard, expression I heard is New Yorkers are nice, but they're not kind. And LA people are kind, but not nice. Like if you like,
I would reverse it, to be honest with you.
What do you mean?
Because a New Yorker, we don't have time to be nice.
Oh, like, sorry, I said it backwards. Like they are kind but not nice. Like like if you have a blowout on the side of the road, like someone will help you, but they're like, you fucking idiot, how can you do this? Like, they're still helping you out, just like watch your thing. And in LA, they're like,
they'll be mad gruff. Yeah, New Yorkers will be mad gruff about like, what you do? You forgot your card? Man, I'll swipe you in. Like they'll do it like that. They'll be it's like a playful rudeness. Or if a woman needs to carry her pram up the stairs, they'll be like, like they'll huff and puff, but they'll do it.
Yeah,
I don't think
in
you get
LA,
that in
no.
LA.
In LA, it was like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear that your car broke down. I
Love
wish you
and
well.
vibes.
Good luck, thoughts and prayers, bye. Like, I think that's very similar. So in my time in New York, this is like my third time there. As we mentioned before, our friend Colby, who was on the show earlier, shout out to Colby.
Shout out to Colby.
It was his Broadway debut on The Wiz.
Yes.
I didn't get to see him as the Lion, but I still got to see him on stage so often. Like, he was on stage all the time, so it was just like, every time I was like, oh my God, Colby!
Yes!
The whole
good.
audience was dancing and cheering the whole time. That was a whole experience. That was a whole Black experience.
Oh, it's so
I went with one of my friends from college. Shout out to Aaron. He's like, I've never been to the Wiz. Let's go.
Oh,
and he's like,
great.
because there were some Black people just hopping up, singing and shouting. I'm like, oh, they must know each other. I'm like, no, that's just a Black experience. Because
It is.
Aaron's Mexican. I'm like, that's just a Black experience.
Yes.
Like, we're just getting excited for them. Like, that's our cousin. That's not our cousin. We don't know them.
We have no
But-
idea who these people are, but when the joy is palpable, it's a connective moment.
The joy
100%.
was absolutely joying. So I got my first Broadway show. I caught up with a bunch of my friends from New York,
Gorgeous.
and I actually really enjoyed my time in New York. It was very, like, I would just walked all over the place. I was just catching up with friends and just having good old vibes. Had a little summertime romance in New
Cute.
York. It was very cute, but it was only like 4 or 5 days. Got to hang out with my friend Adam, who I have caught up with. I've known Adam for 14 years maybe.
Nice.
He's also from the Bay, so I caught up with him in San Francisco for his 30th birthday party. Stayed with him in New York. We just keep running into each other across the country, across the world. Been to DC, Dallas. Like, it's just kind of a running thing for us now. It's like, where are we gonna meet up next? So that whole experience was fantastic. It was short and sweet, perfect. And also New York just legalized weed as well. So everybody
Sure
on the street
enough.
was just smoking joints all over the place. Like, you got contact
100%.
high. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I wasn't trying to have a wild day, but now I'm lit by
Pretty much.
association. And like, I was fine with it.
You're on vacation.
On vacation. And I loved
and
it.
it's legal.
Just so everyone knows, it's legal.
It's legal.
But I think because of that, like, again, not that I would want to go back to America, but New York kind of had a little tickle for me.
She's everything. I love New York, and I'll forever love New York.
So I think I will go ahead and give New York like 7.5, 8. Like,
Cute.
if I ever had to go back, which again, I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Cute.
If I ever have to go back, New York, you can have an 8. I will stick by that 8.
New York, she's that girl. Like when I was living in Hoboken, working in Manhattan each day, and like taking the train, even during like the rat race portion of it.
Like a little rats.
Yeah, no, like I shit you not. Every single morning you see everybody walking down from their buildings in Hoboken. We're all shuffling on the sidewalk and filtering down to the PATH train. You're stuffed to the gills. Your face is just centimeters away from another person's face, and nobody's saying a goddamn thing on the train. Nobody's saying anything on the train. And you're just like, everybody's going in because they're all dreading going to work. And even with all that, New York is such a magical city. You get exposed to some of the craziest, most amazing things because there's always something to do. There's always something on. There's always a show. There's always like an artist, a musician, party, or a place to see. You feel like you are in your own New York movie, like when you see certain sights and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So she's very much that girl. I just had to leave because the anxiousness about New York.
Well, the sword. It was the sword.
The sword of Damocles is very real there. And it's just like, you just feel that, especially when you have to keep the pace.
Yes.
Everything in New York is about keeping the pace. And sometimes I'm like, I don't
You
want
need a rest. You need a break.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to be dealing with that. But she's very much that girl.
She
I
was
love New York
she was
forever.
actively moving, absolutely.
Yeah.
What was your next city?
My next city. Well, I was back out, still on the West Coast. I ended up seeing my family in Colorado Springs, which is a small...
It's legal.
Listen, speaking of weed, Colorado was the first state to legalize weed recreationally. So they've been doing the thing. It's a weird juxtaposition of like the hippie mountain frontier people that live there and the people who are so religious that they think, like the most like religious people you'll ever meet in your life. And it's like these two sides that live there. And I'm sorry, y'all are weird. Like, I know that's so weird to say. I know that's rude to say. But the people who are from Colorado, they keep blaming it on Californians. They're like, well, it didn't used to be like that. It's people from California moving here. And it's just like,
You're welcome.
I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I would blame it on that. Like, I felt like when I was walking around Colorado Springs, like, you get the looks of people being like, you're not from here kind of thing.
They not like us.
They not like us. They not like us. but still a fun place. Went to a place called Manitou, which is like up towards the mountains. But it's like you meet some of these people, and some of them are just vacant behind the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm really not sure if you're a person.
I think it's altitude.
I think... It was that.
Altitude sickness.
Or them strains were schmacking. Let me tell you, I went into a dispensary called the Emerald Fields in Manitou and ended up like walking in, the guy checking us in had on like the full Navajo jewelry, like the turquoise jewelry and everything. He was he was an absolute vibe.
Okay.
Had the most country accent I have ever heard in my entire life.
Stop.
My partner was with me, but he didn't have his passport, so we were like, oh, we can't let him in. I'm so sorry. I wish we could let your friend in. And I'm like, yeah, he's from Australia, so it's a shame he can't come in, but we're bringing the stuff out for him, so he's gonna partake anyways.
Yeah.
And guy ended up saying, he's just like, yeah, you know what? And he actually looked like Willie Nelson too,
Stop.
which I swear.
Smoke Hour Part 2.
Yes, I swear. And he's like, Australia, man, dang, that's so cool. We had a couple Australians come in here one time, and I was checking their passports, and I said to them, you know what? I just love your accents. I love y'all's accents so much. And the Australian said to him, we love your accent too. Roasted the shit out of him, and he said he just busted out laughing. He's like, they just really think we're a bunch of hillbillies here. And I was just like, whoa.
It's like,
the
evidence is evidenting.
The evidence is evidenting, but he was like such a joy. What a lovely person. He was a Coloradan native, and he was so nice. And yeah, it's like the small town folk, but they're cool. It's so beautiful there. Like, the thing about Colorado is like just the sweeping natural beauty of just being, it's so humbling and enchanting being in the view of this beautiful mountain range, like everywhere you look, because Colorado Springs is like in the valley.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It is a very picturesque place, absolutely. My brother Alex, who now has 3 kids, my sister and I went to go visit him for his graduation, and that was like one of the first times I was there. Yeah. And that altitude, like the alcohol is lower content. That altitude,
you gotta smoke just to stay alive.
I think like the alcohol is literally a weaker percentage, because that high altitude, you'll get drunk faster, you'll get high faster.
100%. And you feel sick. You get altitude sickness.
Yeah, you'll get altitude sickness, genuinely. That's why when you said the dead eye, I'm like, I was joking, but not fully. It was only a partial joke. But oh, absolutely. Did you have a rating for her?
Okay, so again, sweeping natural beauty, so stunning. Me personally, I'm just very much a city girl. City girl.
City girl.
City girl.
The town women.
Yeah, I'm not a town girl. Like, I mean, like, no disrespect to people like who enjoy like a quiet life. Like,
it
more
takes all
power
kinds,
to
absolutely.
More power to you. But me personally, I just rather be in the city. However, you would probably have a really good quality of life there. Your lungs would definitely be in check because of the altitude. I'm gonna give her a 6.
Okay.
I'm gonna give her a 6.
Pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think you were a lot nicer than I am in these ratings, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, for me, like, I'm not a cold person. Like, I'm also a city girl. I'm not a cold. Like, I love having 4 seasons. It's great. Like, if you do a little bit of snow, that's cute. It's fun.
Yeah.
But it's consistent. Like, it has a more consistent cold than I would like personally. So long term, I'm gonna have to give her a 5. It's a 5. A 5 out of 10. And it's not saying I hate it, but again, I really love being in Australia. The quality of life, if there are more black people here, I would never, ever leave.
Yes.
But I think the life I live here, if I ever left that to go somewhere else, Colorado is not a fair equivalent to my happiness.
It's beautiful. Like, if I went into a part of my life where I'm like, you know what, I'd rather just be like in a house, like somewhere, like really, really
like a retirement kind of thing, or like I'm rich and famous.
Because I mean, like, you can go into like some really nice parts of Colorado as well. Like, we ended up stopping in Golden, which was just so beautiful.
I've heard good things. I've never been.
So beautiful. You got people playing music out on the streets on their banjos and stuff, being like, I call this song this my morning wake up song. He's like, I wake up, put my feet on the floor, put on my slippers, and put on my robe. I get a cup of coffee, and like walking past him. He's like, howdy, y'all. And I was like,
all right, Kermit the Frog, get on your log and move it along. For my next city.
Don't do Kermit. Shout out to Kermit. Shout out to the Muppets.
I cannot.
Yeah, but beautiful. But yeah, I probably wouldn't be so readily willing to live there. But that's no shade to her. That's just my own personal preference.
And that's okay. Like, these are all just opinions. And we're just giving our take on a city we stopped at, city we've been to, and just talking about our personal livability for those places.
Yes.
My next stop was a very first for me. I went to Boston.
Oh, cute.
And I had actually been really excited to go to Boston. First of all, shout out to Brian. Brian has been a ride or die since day one, listening to this podcast, giving all these episodes, always hyping us up anytime he can. So when we actually met through lockdown, like over Zoom, because like friends with my ex, and then I stole him from my ex. Like I don't realistically, that's my girl now. We done. No, but obviously still very casual, very mutual. But Brian is an absolute gem. So he's like, you better get over here, come check out Boston. It timed out that I was Boston Pride at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was getting super excited. I saw one of my favorite artists, Jordy, posted that he was going to be like the headliner at Pride, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to see Jordy. I'm going to meet Jordy. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I said, universe, I know you're up there writing shit for me, but this is happening. I'm telling you this is happening. If I got to go to jail for stalking this man, I'm going. I was like, lock me up anywhere. So I get to Boston and I land in the airport. I didn't realize how small Boston was.
Boston, it takes you 20 minutes to get everywhere, max. And everything's so close.
I was so impressed because I got off the airport and he's like, hey, I come to my place. It's this address. I pop in an Uber and it says it's 10 minutes away. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. Like, I'm so used to Ubers being $50 because it's across town. I go through 3 different states. Totally. I get air sickness and jet lag and all these things trying to get from point A to point B. And I get there, I'm like, oh, I'm here. It's so tiny. It was actually during the playoffs when the Celtics were in the playoffs, so I was there for game 1.
Live.
It was chaotic. Like that first night, they were like, I couldn't tell if people were just wild or if it was just the game. And Brian says it was both.
Yeah.
Like Bostonians. I don't know if that's what they go by, but
I think
Bostonites.
I think people who live in that area are called massholes. Like people from Massachusetts. I'm not joking. I think that's what I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. They're called massholes because they're just like, loud, opinionated. But I get that. You could say the same thing about like any city. You could say that about New York.
Honestly, I think that whole New England space,
Philadelphia,
like the energy that people have, like either you're in it or you subscribe to it or you don't. And I was drinking the tea a little bit. Like I did very much enjoy my time in Boston.
Big sports city.
Big sports city.
It's religion.
The fact that the game was on, I think that kind of will skew my view a little bit. It was my first time there, so the games being on, people being hyped or not so hyped about how the results were going. I mean, they pretty much swept. So sorry about it too. I think they're playing against the Mavericks. So sorry to the Mavericks.
Oh yeah.
But they basically got swept. While I was in Boston and Massachusetts as a whole has always been very gay. So like they were one of the first ones to legalize gay marriage. So their gay bar scene is so spread out across the city.
Oh.
It was very interesting. Like yes, it's a very small place, but they could be like, oh, this bar's really popping, and then this other bar 20 minutes that way is also popping, and then this one over here. And I'm like, that's too much. Y'all can't just have a strip. Like I know everyone's a little bit gay.
The gayborhood. They need a gayborhood.
They have gay bars everywhere, and everywhere is a little bit kind of gay. But I think that was a deterrent for me. Like it's pride.
Gayer.
It's pride. I'm trying to be gay in clumps. Like, can we just conglomerate into one gay blob, please?
I need all my gays to go to one area.
All the heterosexuals to the back immediately.
Everybody, the LGBTQ community, I need y'all all to be in the same spot.
But the weather was good, like not surprisingly, it was summertime. So the weather, actually, that's not true. That's not true, Ellen. That's not true. I just realized.
Not Ellen, not Dakota.
So for Pride, it was a bit windy. It was like the shade came through. It was a bit windy. Like the rain was coming in random days. So it was kind of like it started raining before and during some of the sets of the performance. So I'm like, that weather was very temperamental, very much like Melbourne, very much like Austin, very much like Texas. So I'm used to it. But because it was I guess because I thought it would have been better, I was expecting something different, but it is just right out the water, so I should have known better. However, Pride itself was great, luxurious, people were nice. I did get to meet Jordy because most people know during Pride when you get random artists, they're very, very genres. There was this fantastic trans artist that went before Jordy. They had like kind of a pop R&B vibe.
Do you remember her
I'm going to have to like find it in the comments. I find it in my thing.
Okay, but shout out to her or him.
Yeah, shout out to them. They were like fabulous, incredible. Some of their songs were just like so empowering and wonderful. And then Jordy came on, and Jordy's not a huge artist. Jordy's like a medium artist. I think on Instagram he has like 100 to 200,000 followers. Like, it's pretty good.
That's a good
The music is
following.
fantastic, but when you have like random artists, people are just kind of there for the vibes. They're like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm just drunk and I'm just feeling myself. So it was very easy to push to the front. I've never pushed to the front of anything because I hate it, the idea of being pushed up against a gate. I don't do mosh pits. Don't touch me, stranger. You don't know me like that. But I went to the front and I was just up there singing songs at him. He made eye contact. We were like, yes. Like, in my head, I'm like, that's good enough. I don't need any more than that because my friend Brian was already at work. So I'm like, you know what? That's okay. I'll just get the performance and I'll go back and we'll keep partying. But as the show ended, one of the MCs was like, hey, y'all, we got a meet and greet over there in 5 minutes. And I said, you know what? Thank you, writers. I appreciate you because I said this was happening.
The writers.
I moseyed my way over there to the front of the line. I was talking to the photographer. I went to go pee, and apparently they had somehow like started a line somewhere else. And they like brought a whole line over here, and I'm like, the way in which I'm not waiting in that line. I was here first, so I just moseyed up to these girls like, hey girl, what's up? I was waiting over there, and like, yeah, okay. So these two girls went in front of me. They got the picture. I took a picture of Jordy. We had a little chit chat. He fell in love with me as always. I was like, I can't. You're on tour. We live in different places.
Yeah.
But no, he was super lovely, fantastic live. I love when artists are great live. Like I think that's kind of a rarity these days.
Yeah.
So when you sound the same as you do in the booth live, I'm just like, absolutely. I'm telling everyone, Boston was fantastique. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to go ahead and give Boston. She's a 7. Boston is a 7. Like there could be more black people there. Like being in America, in my head, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. But I think New England, Boston, very low black population. I was talking to Brian as well. I'm like, is it just this like event? Like, are there just not black people here? And it's like, yes, there are black caucuses doing. There's a Black Pride that I just missed. I think it was coming a week or two after that. So like they're doing the damn thing. But the Pride that I was at, there weren't black people there, and I'm trying to get as many black people as I can during this trip. Yeah. Because I knew I'd have a deficit when I got back here. So Boston's a 7 for me.
I can totally understand that. It's definitely one of the cleanest cities.
Oh my God, yes, I forgot about that. Yes.
It's definitely one of the cleanest cities for sure, so I get that. But man, the sports people and like the type of racism that they got in Boston, I would say it's comparable to like Deep South racism.
What?
I think it's like that. Like some of the interactions and instances and stuff. But beautiful place.
It felt like a clean New York. It felt like a clean New York. But you saying there's racism.
Easy to get around. Easy to get around. Yeah, I've had some really nasty interactions, and I won't go beyond that. So I'm gonna give her a 2.
All right, so just because we're short on time, we'll still go back to that at another time. But I want to know why she went to a 2. Is it beautiful gowns, nice gowns, easy to get around, racist?
She doesn't speak to my. She doesn't speak to my soul. Like she doesn't speak to my soul. I think it's a great place to go and visit. Beautiful Cambridge, like all the Ivy League schools, being able to like bike around and everything. It was really lovely. It's really beautiful. I don't think you would ever get me to live there though.
No, that's fully fair. That's fully fair.
Unless it was like against my will.
Yeah, if it's a hostage, if you see Nicole in Boston,
if I'm living in Boston, just know I'm under duress.
Yes, and she's like, I love it here. Look at her eyes. Look at her eyes, everyone, because it will not be. It'll be soulless like the people in Colorado.
No, I personally like my cities with like a little bit of like chaos to them. Like I don't like in Boston is very much. I feel like it's so well organized that. Yeah.
It doesn't suit.
It just doesn't suit me.
So my next stop after Boston, directly after Boston actually, was Austin, which is one of my favorite cities in the country. I do have to say, with the preface, that she disappointed me a little bit this time around. Only the fact that catching up with my friends, because a lot of my friends from college are still in the area. They're from, like, I went to college in Dallas, so they're still in Dallas.
Cute.
I told everyone, I'm doing a countrywide tour. I flew an ocean, you can fly a city, you can fly a state. If you don't, we're not doing this. So when I skipped Dallas, like that was a big to-do. Everyone's like, you're not going to Dallas? Look, my mom lives in Austin now. Like I'm here for family, here for friends. I'm not excited to be here. Like actually I didn't want to be here. It's really an inconvenience for me. Full Naomi Campbell situation. But when I got to Austin, a bunch of my friends did drive down in waves. Like, I love y'all to death. Big shout out to my crew, Becca and Charles especially, who I spent so much time with. But I got to Boston, and I was catching up with my mom and dad. Shout out to Corey, shout out to my mom. Body Butters, we were very much inside. And when I was sitting down talking to people, I was finding out just the way that the state as a whole is being run is just so oppressive, honestly. Like, the governor is shit. He's absolutely fucking everything up. Greg Abbott, you can die in a hole. Realistically, I don't care how that sounds. No!
I'm just gonna figure out the truth.
No, because they were We will be deleting that because I don't have it. I don't have it in me.
Secret Service is gonna show up.
He don't got no Secret Service. But no, so the thing is, like, especially when there were really strong winter storms, the electrical grid system is so fucked in Texas.
Yeah.
It's an independent grid from the rest of the country. So when the power went out, the rest of America couldn't even help because he privatized the electricity. Yep. So people literally died. So many people died. So actually, we might leave this in there. I don't care.
Fuck him. Fuck Ted Cruz.
Yes. Oh.
Fuck y'all.
That man went to Mexico during the electric freeze.
Yeah, sure did. He's like, all this praying for the people freezing to death.
Thoughts and prayers. Me in Cancun, though.
Can I get another pina colada? Grassy ass Jorge.
Not the grassy ass. But so in Austin, they've also banned pornography. Like, not that I'm like, yes, this is so wonderful, but like,
let's be real.
No, like they cut it off on the internet. Like, you know what? The Lord wouldn't want this. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this is
so stupid. That's so dumb because you know people are doing it anyways or getting it in other ways.
Yeah, they're getting VPNs and doing all these things, but it's just like, that's just, you're limiting what they're able to do. It honestly is starting to feel like Handmaid's Tale in some instances.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my friends, like a lot of them don't go out anymore. So many of them, again, shout out to y'all. They came out because I was out and we went out to different bars and things, but it was that extra edge. Like that sword was over my head heavy in Austin.
Damocles.
Because in Austin, there is essentially a serial killer in Austin right now. Like, and I wish I was joking. It
sounds like America, yeah.
Yeah, genuinely. So there's a street called Rainy Street, and there's
don't go to this street, y'all.
There's someone who's regularly going around like killing pretty boys, and I'm like, you told me like it's in the neighborhood as well. So like someone's like taking them home, essentially just like killing them. There's like 4 or 5 that have been killed.
Like a Dahmer kind of situation.
I hope they're not being eaten, but I mean they're dead.
Not Dahmer, somebody else.
Jeffrey Dahmer was that's the right one.
Okay.
And like there's a serial killer. That street used to be very lively, a lot of really fun bars there. Bars are closing down because it's just not safe to be over there anymore.
That's so sad.
And when my friends were telling me about it, it was very nonchalant. It's like, oh yeah, there's a serial killer. We didn't go to Rainy because there was a serial killer over there. And it wasn't like a hee hee ha. It was just like that's just the life that we live.
America.
That's why we don't go out anymore. And I'm like, this is so depressing. So much of that trip, I was just like, I love Austin. I love my family and friends, seeing them. But knowing that that's the way that Texas and Austin are run, I'm going to have to give Austin a 2.5.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I mean, I think that, unfortunately, I'm just going to have to give anything in Texas. I've been to Dallas, gone out in Deep Ellum, the best club I've ever gone to.
Yeah, I love Deep Ellum. It's so much fun.
I've ever gone to in my entire life is That'll Do, and that is the best club That is the best club I've ever been to in my entire life. The crowd was amazing. The dance floor lights up. Coolest music, coolest DJs. It was incredible. But I think if I were to live in Texas, it would be another hostage situation.
Yep.
I've given her a 0.4.
No.
Like I can't even. There's no redeeming qualities for me to live there.
Yeah, if it wasn't for my family, I would not go back.
Correct. You couldn't. I don't even think I could go.
No. And like even then, like again, I was very much single, pouncing around the strip. So like not that I was actually looking to like hook up or have people admire me, but I have not felt that invisible since I was a teenager. And like I've worked a lot of my self-esteem and being able to be like, I am who I am, and I know that my beauty is from within, and I don't care what other people think. If you're not fucking with me, I'm not fucking with you. It's fine.
Period.
But genuinely, we went out, and it was just like I wasn't trying to look at people, but the way that people would avert eye contact with me, not even like a It was just like that's why it's so low in my books. And when I hugged my mom bye, she was like, "Don't you ever come back here?" Like very very seriously, like I love you to death. Like don't you ever move back to this country? And it was just like that. Like that was heartbreaking, but at the same time, it's so truthful. And like I'm very grateful that my mom supports me being so far away because she knows that I'm somewhere that's much safer than there. But no, like I love Austin, and it used to be in my top few cities. Like if I ever have to live somewhere, it'd be Austin. This trip made me be like, absolutely not. So it's not.
I get that. And then your mom is such a lovely and loving person. Shout out to Mama Jess, because she actually ended up giving Ri'chard a few gifts to give to me, which I was so touched because she listened to my episode of how hard it is to get wigs here. And so she sent some with Ri'chard. Yeah. And I was so touched, as well as some of that bomb-ass shea butter body balm. Yeah. I love it. Thank you so very much for that. But listen, I continue to pray for her safety and anybody that I love in Texas, because I just could not imagine living under those kind of conditions.
Yeah, I just remember it and I'm like,
hard pass.
So hard pass. But what about you?
I know we sound like SpongeBob, and Patrick is like, what else about Texas? Duh.
Peas in the can pie.
Yeah, peas in the can pie. You're dumb. No, I'm Texas. Like,
same difference.
I don't know. I know it sounds like we're shitting on the conditions. We're not shitting on the people.
No, never the people. The people is what makes America livable.
Correct.
Like America, the system, the government is so fucked, but the people are so incredible. Like I absolutely love all my people in America, all my people in Texas. They took care of me. I cannot speak highly enough about the people alone, but that's because of the resilience. Like that community, the reason I fight so hard for community here is because that's what made America survivable. 100%. Not livable, survivable. And it's like that love that I have, I want to make here, and I have been making here because I've had that groundwork and that framework over there.
100%.
Well, what about your next
100%.
city?
My next city was not actually in America, but it is in North America. We ended up taking a trip up to Toronto.
Okay.
We went up to the 6, which was a very interesting time to be there because this is when Kendrick Lamar absolutely
devastated.
Decimated Drake. Like, absolutely. Like, we were there in the thick of it.
Into the thick of it.
Into the thick of it. And Drake isn't even like, he hasn't, listen, once people call you a pedophile, you really can't come back from that unless you got proof that you're not. And
how you gonna prove that?
How you gonna prove it? So to be in the 6 during that time was interesting, and I was like excited to see it because I went a few years before. My partner has a friend, Chris, who's from Melbourne. He lives up there. And he would come down to New York for like New Year's Eve or like the grand final or something like that. And he was like, all right, you guys need to come up to Toronto for New Year's. We're like, bet. We went up there for New Year's a few years ago. And when I checked the weather, because I was trying to plan my outfit.
Oh, that was difficult.
When I tried to plan my outfit for New Year's, and I saw that host had -14.
Is that Celsius for
Celsius? I was like, absolutely. We almost canceled our flight. Like, we almost canceled the trip. I was like, how am I supposed to survive in that? But we ended up keeping our promise because Chris had come down a few times. So we got to go up to Toronto, and that's when I got my big, beautiful, amazing floor-length, black leather, fur-trimmed coat.
How many more adjectives you got for that?
Because it's fabulous. I look evil. I look like clandestine in it, and I love it so very much because the vintage situation in Toronto is killer. It's so good. Really good vintage stores. Such a collection of like wide things. On this trip, it was summertime, so I was happy to see it out of the frost.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Really, really beautiful. It was like the city was cool. It was clean. And then you can go and get your outdoorsy stuff if that's what you like to partake in. However, once again, things are legal there.
It's legal.
It's legal there. And they were just like, they had smoke shops like they were candy stores. And like you go in and it's just like the list of all the different strains, and everybody's very knowledgeable and very helpful and very nice. And then they're now about to legalize mushrooms there.
I did hear about that.
So the mushroom shops are popping up, which is pretty crazy to hear about. But yeah, they're readily available there. And we were like, well, you have to like get your smoke and stuff and then go back home to do it. They're like, nah.
They just do it wherever.
Listen, we lit up right in front of a cop, and they did nothing.
I mean, I feel like in the other cities that are also legal as well, it's very lenient. I think so many of these places, like Boston is also legal. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, Boston is
almost
legal.
All the cities that we've been to, it's just legalized.
Coincidence,
like,
it's a coincidence.
Yeah, super coincidence. The state of the world, state of the country has nothing to do with it. It's like, here, let's numb y'all as the empire falls. But
for real, they just want the tax money.
Yeah.
And don't blame them.
No, genuinely, like, it's a win-win situation. Like, you get to have a moment where you like have that moment of peace, and they make more 100%. Money. You do what you got to do.
Yeah, like not to walk it back to Colorado, but like in Colorado, because they had legalized weed like so long ago, I didn't see a single pothole in that entire state. The roads were filled. The lights were working.
Yep.
There were no broken windows, no nothing. Everything was so clean. And I was like, this is the smoothest road I've ever ridden on. So in Toronto, it was really gorgeous. But I feel like as a stereotype, we think of Canadians as being nicer.
Yeah.
We think of them being nicer. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not nicer. Like, they're really not. I remember being in a situation where I was like in a restaurant and I was just a little bit confused because it was like kind of table service, but I didn't know if the waiters came over to, so you could pay your bill or not. And I just turned to somebody and I was just like, hey, do we pay for our bill? Do we wait for them to come here? Or do we go up to the front? And she just looked me in the eye and she's like, I don't work here. And then walked past me and I was like, girl, I didn't think that you worked here. I was just asking.
If you've been here before.
Yeah, I was asking a question and I was just like, yeah, I think that there's like a bit of passive aggression that can be there. Again, you could probably say this about any city in America, like, so be it. But I think the stereotype is that Canadians are like overtly nice when in actuality they have a lot of the same problems that Americans do. However, I will give them the freedom aspect. They definitely have way more freedom.
I see that.
Oh, and then the other thing was couldn't find a really good coffee there. And before y'all jump down our throats, Tim Hortons. Y'all, every time I was like, do y'all, is there a cafe? They're like, oh, you got Tim Hortons down there. You get you a box of tidbits and stuff. I'm like, okay.
That's like Americans going hard for Starbucks.
It really is. Like, y'all are really going for it. And I'm just like,
no.
She's mid. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to make a lot of enemies with that, but you know what?
You
I stand on it.
Because we've got like 20 downloads in Canada.
Yeah.
You won't.
Then again, this is maybe this is just Toronto. Toronto as a city, clean. Didn't really get a whole sense of personality from her, but again, maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. Mm-hmm. But it was nice to go out and like day drink in the park and everything, not have to worry about like people are walking around picking up the cans. Like as soon as you put it down on the ground, they're picking it up. Cleanest city I've ever been to. Very, very clean. But yeah, I'll give it to her for freedom. It's probably better quality of life there. Mm. When I saw Niagara Falls.
Did you get wet?
I did not, but it was really gorgeous and it was really beautiful and it was really nice seeing one of the natural wonders of the world, and it would probably be pretty good quality of life. Don't know how much community you'd be able to find there, but then again, I do have a friend, Sarah, who we met.
Yeah, Sarah, yeah.
Who we met. Shout out to Sarah. We met her at summer camp.
Mm.
She's a Canadian, and we were talking about it and shared a lot of the same things. So I would probably put it up there. I probably would live in Toronto during the summer months. The winter is when
you're going to go back to America.
Winter is when it would be really, really rough for me, but I would give it an 8. Like, I would give it an 8.
Oh, wow.
Don't have to worry about guns.
Yeah.
Like, socialized medicine.
That's true.
The weed is fire. It's fire.
It's legal.
It's legal. It's legal. Yeah, safety good, and it just feels like you could really live your life there. So I'd probably give her an 8. I just don't think I'd be able to survive the winter.
Yeah.
Winter alone, I got to give it a 4.
Oh, okay.
It cuts it in half.
So are you going to make that an average? Are we going to do an average of that? Make it a 6? Because you can't just have 2 homes, because then you're not living in that one city.
No, because it's better. It's better than a lot of living wise, like quality of life wise. It's
so you
better
just stay
than
home during winter?
You just, I mean, which is what a lot of them do there, anyways. Apparently,
yeah, they hibernate.
They just
for
hibernate.
Sure. Okay, so an 8 for you.
I think an 8 is fair.
Okay.
I think an 8 is fair.
I won't give it a rating only because I've never been.
Okay.
I've only heard stories, so I don't want to be like, based on what I've heard, because I don't want to be those people. I'm like, I heard a rumor. Like, no, I've heard a lot of wonderful things about Toronto. Like, I wanted to go visit it, but the way that my trip was going, I've zigzagged. because I went LA, San Francisco, New York, Boston, Austin, Chicago. And Chicago's my next city to talk about. But I zigzagged so much that I couldn't get to Toronto easily. So I will go fully off of your rating because I can't give it one. But my last city in America was Chicago. And
I love Chicago.
I kid you not, that is my favorite city in America. Like
Chicago.
I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a 10. Like I'm gonna front load and say it's a 10. One of my best friends in the world lives in Chicago. He just had a baby, so it was fun to talk to him, talk to his partner, and like really get to see what his life is like now. Because it's been 3 years since I was there, so I was like got to catch up with him. Some of my other friends who I met previously, I stayed in touch with. Shout out to Kendall as well. Showed me around. It was during Pride again.
Oh,
it was my second Pride, and the lineup for Pride was fantastic. Natasha Bedingfield was there. Amber Riley. Bob's drag queen. JoJo Siwa was also there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she was there.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's rapping for the lesbians.
An artist, yeah, like yeah.
Yeah, she invented gay pop music. She invented. Remember what gay people were doing? They were just banging on pots and pans before.
We were just standing around like, I would love to move, but to what?
Poor gay people living all those years without pop music.
With nothing, no invention, no innovation. But no, so the Pride lineup was fantastic. Hanging out with my friends, another little summer romance, because this is my first American summer since 2018. Like, I'm always there for Christmas, for winter, so it's always just been cold and miserable. Yeah. So I got my life. I was outside all the time. I ended up, through a fun train of events, ended up playing kickball for this gay league.
Oh my God, how
as a sub-in.
cute. That's so freaking cute. And so random.
We lost. I say we because I have a jersey now. We lost, but I got MVP for basically just showing up and playing, because the tournament was supposed to happen the weekend before, but I think it got rained out or something. Yeah. And like on the first day of Pride, everyone was like, you gonna play the tournament? Because I don't want to play the tournament. Like, you gonna play tomorrow? Yeah. And like the captain's like, we're all playing tomorrow, and everyone else is like, I don't know if we're playing tomorrow. So it rained overnight, and it was like really wet. So everyone was like on their phones at like 7 a.m. be like, is the game on? Is it not happening? What's going on here? And the game still went on. They were short a couple of players. I went because I'm like, this is going to be cute. Like, why not? I'm here in America. So I showed up to the game, and I just smoked beforehand because it's legal. It's legal. And I was like, just in my own world. And my friend Kendall shows up and is like, hey, we're short, holding a jersey. Like, do you want to play?
Oh my gosh.
And for the plot, y'all know I'm for the plot. Like, I'm always for the plot. It was muddy as shit. I'm like, yeah, okay, I will. So I play, I'm slipping and sliding. We're all just slipping and sliding, dipping and dopping. We lost horribly, but I was involved in getting 2 people out. So I played the game, and I got MVP. So I have a little medal, a little trophy.
Yay!
We got lit. It was just so fantastic. I think the energy of Chicago is always so fun. There's always something to do. It's
100%.
It feels like a perfect bubble. And we got to hang out with my girl, Kelly, our girl, Kelly.
Shout out to Kelly.
Shout out to Kelly.
Kelly girl.
She came out to Pride as well, so we went to go see Amber Riley together, bounced around, and just had to, it was just that full experience. Like, it was just a warm hug. Like, being in Chicago, you kind of forget about, like, it feels like a bubble in America. Yeah. And, like, the sword is very much still there because things are still happening all around you.
Correct.
But in the moment, like, the city itself is fighting to be a badass bitch. Like, if they could, like, annex, if some chaotic thing happens, I think they would try to and just like make themselves like a little island. Chicago, I can't speak highly enough about you. If I ever had to go back, I would absolutely be in Chicago without a hesitation. 10. If I can go higher than 10, I would go higher than 10. 100%. 10 out of 10.
Good luck
She's that girl.
Good luck in the winter, though.
I'm staying inside.
Good luck in the winter, though, because the wind coming off of those.
She got you good.
Is it Lake Michigan?
I think so.
Yeah, one of the big, or Lake Superior, I can't remember, but yeah, it's tough. However, I 100% agree with you that Chicago is one of, if not the best city in America. Like, for me, my number one is New Orleans, because yes, 100%. Okay. But that's a story for another time. Yeah. Chicago, the way that New York and Boston have a rivalry, Chicago and New York could have that same rivalry, but I feel like Chicago just can't be bothered.
No, she's like, I'm good. I know who I am.
I know who I am. Chicago's very sure of herself. Like, I mean, if you want to talk about like culture, like some really great artists are from Chicago. The cuisine in Chicago, like there's different style of things. Like, did you have a hot dog in Chicago?
I not this time around, but I have had Chicago dogs.
You haven't had like the hot dogs in Chicago, and I'm a hot dog girl. Hot dog girl. So I was living there, but here's a tip though: if you ever go to Chicago, don't ask for ketchup on your hot dog because they get mad. They get mad. I remember going to one of these famous hot dog places and been like, "Oh yeah, can I get some ketchup?" They're like, "You could have some, but you got to put it on outside." Like they were being 100% serious. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. But they really don't fuck with ketchup like that. But the deep dish pizza that's there, the park is beautiful. Like in the summertime, Chicago is
alive.
Buzzing.
Chicago's so alive. Oh, I also
beautiful.
forgot.
The architecture.
House music was born in Chicago.
It is.
House music was born in Chicago.
They go back and forth between Detroit and Chicago. They argue about who.
I'm standing 10 toes down. Saying Chicago.
Argue about it because some people say that it was born in Detroit. Other people say it was born in Chicago. But it definitely comes from that area, and it's definitely black music.
Absolutely,
100%.
Black queer music, 1,000%.
100%.
Again. That's my girl. What's your rating? Because you said New Orleans. What's your number one? But what's your Chicago rating?
Yeah, because New Orleans just has like a mysticism to it, and it's like really spooky, and like the French cuisine and the architecture.
You do love your scary shit.
It's like I do. I love a little bit of creepiness.
And you can have it.
And
you can have all of it.
Everybody, but have you like a New Orleans accent? Oh. Ooh, yes.
It
It's
does-
like,
it-
don't
it-
even worry about it, baby. Oh.
It does nothing for me.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I think it's the best accent in the world. I'm 10 toes down for it. Yeah, I love it so much. And then the food there is so good. But the food in Chicago, I like the fact that Chicago is just like we do our own thing.
Yep.
And I love that. I love that. And I love like the river. I love the tour of the architecture tour. I give her a 9.
Okay.
I give her a 9. It's once again, I do feel like it's one of those things of like, there's enough money here to fix the poverty problems.
Yep.
So it's hard to like enjoy it all the way because you feel bad for the people like really, really
Yes.
struggling in order to get by. But she's fabulous.
Absolutely. And
I
I
see
think
it for Chicago.
that was very, like,
100%.
so both of our favorite American cities was Chicago. And I think like the main thing that you've touched on multiple times is like, there's a lot of these incredible cities. They are doing very well for themselves, but
Yeah.
they're not doing very well for the collective good in
Yeah.
the way that they should be. And I'm not saying that Melbourne's perfect either, but I think
Yeah.
they are slightly better with some of their initiatives with the unhoused people and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But absolutely love Chicago. America itself, the people, like we said before, the
100%.
people make it for you.
People, the culture.
But the government, the agencies, the thing that everyone is seeing actively, die in a fire. Like it's a hot garbage can floating down a river, a flooded river,
A flaming garbage barge.
and just like
In a Gucci belt.
In a Gucci belt. It's like the rich have it, and the rest of us are doing the best we can. And like that, I think that was the most heartbreaking thing because like for my entire trip, I definitely felt like I can't wait to go home. And the first time it felt like going home was coming here.
Yeah.
And that was very weird for me because it is so far away from my people. But because the people I have here, the lifestyle I have here, like this is home, and I'm just visiting my family there. And it didn't feel like a vacation because, I mean, I was actively working. I wanted the podcast to keep going. I was trying to get a new job, which I have now.
Yay.
You know, she's employed again, which is so exhausting, working a full-time job and doing this. But I love it. I love both these things. I'm really excited for this job. I'm excited for where the podcast is going. But that trip didn't feel like a vacation. It was catching up with my family.
Yeah,
And
which is it's so hectic when you live far away from home. When you go to visit your family and stuff, you're not sitting down.
Yeah, you feel like you have to do something like, I'm not going to see you again for another 2-3 years, so you just push through. The way I slept for like a week when I got back
God, I
here.
get that.
I
I didn't even
like,
call you. I was like, oh, but Ri'chard's back. I won't even bother.
I was like, I'm back. I did 2 things today.
And that's it.
That drained me. I'm spent. That is all I have. I did have one more stop.
Ooh.
But it was not in America. But we're already here. We're talking about a vacation. So
Yes.
I got to visit my favorite city in the world once again, Dublin.
Oh, Dublin. Ding, 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 ding. That's my
that
Irish
your Irish
dick. Ding, ding, ding,
dick?
ding. Oh, hi-de, di-de, 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 di. Oh, hi-de, di-de, di-de, di-de.
Please stop. Oh my God. So this is my 4th time in Dublin. Dublin is one of my favorites.
Shout out to Nicola Coughlin.
I don't know who that is, but I'm ignoring it.
No,
I don't-
Penelope from... No? Okay, no.
I don't know who that is.
From Bridgerton. Okay,
I don't watch Bridgerton.
Oh,
We talked
she's
about-
fabulous. She's Irish.
I love that for her. But Dublin's my favorite city because the first time I got a passport, it was the first city I went to. Before I was about to go, all of my friends and family were like, are they racist there? And I'm like, well,
We're going to go find out.
we're about to find out because I already got this ticket. And it turns out, like, yes, everywhere's racist. Like, let's not play games. There's no place like this
Yeah.
perfect utopia. If they're not racist against us, they're racist against someone else because
Correct.
people like to put other people down to feel better about themselves as a whole. But the Irish, honestly, are my favorite white people.
Oh my God.
The
they're
Irish are my
great.
favorite white people. Whether
They're
it's
great.
because they were also oppressed by the English at some point,
Period.
or because they're just like so chill, so very much welcoming and happy. Like Dublin has 1 million, 2 million people. Don't quote me. Google it yourself. But the people there, the weather always behaves for me. Like everyone's like, it's
That's
always so
fabulous.
rainy.
Yeah.
It's like
my mind thinks rain.
It's
and
traditionally
thick,
so rainy.
And thick sweaters and Guinnesses and a pint. I'm sorry. Sorry. Just go ahead.
Yeah, I'm getting my train. Okay, I'm back. So the weather always behaves for me. The people are always so lovely. And funnily enough, I ran into more people from other aspects of my life in Dublin than anywhere else. Like people I met while I was a backpacker here, people
no
I met from America,
way.
people that I met at various stages of my life were just also in Dublin.
That's
So it was very interesting. Like my roommate from when I was a backpacker here in 2017,
Yeah.
he's Scottish, he's back in Scotland, but he was in town for like a hens party. So we caught up and got a drink together. One of my friends that I met out here also caught up. Well, actually, a lot of my friends that I met while in Australia were all from Europe, but are suddenly in Dublin for some reason.
Cute.
And it was fantastic. I got to see Troye Sivan live in
Yeah,
concert.
so you did Dublin Pride?
Did Dublin Pride as well.
Cute.
It rained for the first part, but then the rain cleared up for like the street party because then the weather just likes to behave at
God,
certain
amazing.
bursts. I'm like, thank you, writers, because
Yeah.
I would have been outside during the Pride parade. Everyone was just outside in their ponchos and umbrellas because they're used to it. They know we're not stopping for some rain. And I love that resilience because if you know you live in a rainy place, deal with it.
Deal with it.
Or leave. Like, that's all you can do.
Those are the options.
And it was just so fantastic. I stayed with a friend of a friend, like not even someone I knew directly. So shout out to Justin, who connected me with some of his friends who let me stay there. And it was this lovely share house, this very lovely queer share house.
Oh,
and
gorgeous.
it was very much like something from a movie. You came into like this interesting back alleyway, and it was such an eclectic decorations, and it's like a house attached to another house, and it was just such a great vibe, so much energy, meeting new friends, catching up with old ones, and it was just this conglomerate of just like love, and it was a great end of the trip because there's no family there. Like not to say there's no family there, but it was the first real vacation part of my trip.
Yeah, I get that.
Getting to rest. I got to sleep in as long as I wanted to. It wasn't like I got to go do this. I didn't have to do shit.
Yeah.
But I got to do so many fantastic things. The Troye Sivan show was interesting. Like, it was good. So I got GA, and I don't do GA. Like, I don't really fuck with GA, especially not by myself. I was surrounded by Gen Z people who were screaming and bouncing around and losing their mind. And I'm like, it was fine. Like, they were there for the show as well. But then Troy, like, there's a bunch of viral videos of like how horny his show is, but his show is so horny. Like,
oh my gosh, really?
There's like a video where he's like with one of his backup dancers, and the mic is where the dancer's dick is, and he's like on his knees, like singing into it, and then rips the mic off. And I'm like, that was aggressive. What's happening here? My is one of his songs.
No,
so.
that's right. Oh my.
So the show was fantastic, but it was just like he was just thrusting and gyrating, doing all these things. I'm like, I support you. I love the gays. Gays can express themselves how they want to, but I was just like, can you go back to like the songs though? Because he would like these were like breaks. He was like dancing and getting humped and doing all these things. And it I'm not terribly like he's cute, but I'm not terribly attracted to Troye Sivan. So I was just like, can you sing the songs that I like? Can you sing some music and like? But the people in the crowd were screaming. So like I know it wasn't for me. Like I know that was never for me. So I'm like it was a good show. I enjoyed it. But like at the time, the George was where I spent so much time. Shout out to the George, one of my favorite gay bars in the world. It's so cute.
Awesome.
Irish drag is so much fun, and the people are so friendly.
I would love to see that.
I mean, we got to go back. We got like I will always go back anytime I can to go to Ireland. But that was my trip. Like I absolutely loved it. It's so great, so fantastic to be back. What about you? Like, do you have any other tidbits?
I mean, like it definitely felt like I was trying my best to enjoy my time in the States because I knew coming back I was going to be
hit the ground running.
I knew I was going to be so busy coming back here, so I was just like I'll just try and enjoy this time. And then during the big bulk of my trip was trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my wedding and wedding planning and everything. And at first I was getting so scared about what are people going to do? They're going to be coming here. Everybody's going to be flying from halfway around the world. Like most of the people are going to be coming in from out of town. And I was feeling really responsible for what everybody was going to do for the rest of the time. But when I was able to go down to my parents' place in Delaware, my parents celebrated their 40th wedding anniversary.
Oh, shout out to them.
Like, shouts to them. Shout out to mom. Shout out to dad. And I have a really big family. Like, my dad is second oldest of 4. My mother is the youngest of 8.
Oh.
So I have so many aunts, so many uncles, so many cousins and everything. And during that time, during that weekend, and getting to hang out with them and just be in our own little family bubble and everything, I was like, you know what? This is what it's about. This is what it's about. So family and just being around your people, and you don't have to explain anything to them, and you're just like loved and accepted and appreciated. Like, there's really no other feeling like that in the world. So it was really beautiful to visit with it. And I kind of hope that we continue to build that community here, because community is everything. And that's something I will never take away from America, the people there.
Absolutely.
The people there, they make it.
Could not agree more. And this podcast is about community.
100%.
I think life is about community, because we can't do this alone.
100%.
Like, share those burdens with your friends. Like, and you're not a burden to your friends.
Sometimes in our lives,
we don't know.
Lean on me when you're not strong. Ri'chard, open your eyes.
No, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for it to pass. I'm just waiting for it to pass.
Carry on, for it won't be long. Touch my hand, Ri'chard.
I did. I touched your
that
hand.
Don't count.
You said touch my hand. You didn't specify. Anyway, but as I was saying, community is so incredibly important, and I think that's what, especially as everything just slowly feels like it's overwhelming. It's only overwhelming because you're not allowing other people to share the burden with you.
100%.
We're all suffering in different ways. We're all trying to get through the best we can. But if we work together as a unit, we can honestly accomplish anything. That's how everything has been done in the past. That's how everything is going to be done in the future. That's how we're going to get by with each other. But we've got some incredible things coming up for you for the rest of the season. So excited for the things that we're all doing as a group and individually.
Yes, it's all happening. Watch this space. But until next time, I'm Ri'chard.
I'm Nicole.
And this has been Melanated in Melbourne.
See ya. This has been Melanated in Melbourne, a podcast that analyzes the Australian lifestyle from the lens of two Black American besties. Visit us at melanatedinmelbourne.com or follow us on Instagram to send us your comments or questions. Thank you for listening.